everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to talk about my anticipated releases for October 2023. So there are a lot coming up, and you guys, if you haven't seen one of these videos, these are not books that I'm necessarily putting on hold at the library, not necessarily going to read them right away, but I am really excited for all of these releases. And you guys, I took some off this list so this wouldn't be like an hour long, but there are so many good things coming out. So let's just get started. Also, preface this by saying some of these release dates are kind of weird because typically books come out on Tuesdays and some of these are not Tuesdays, but these are all the most recent dates according to Goodreads. And so I don't know, I couldn't find that they are like republishings or anything like that, but let's just get into it and we'll hope for the best. If you guys know of a different date or if the date shifts, give me some grace, but let's go for it. So October 1st, Julia Monroe Begins Again by Rebekah Millet. I believe is how you say that name. This is a Christian fiction about a widow who is, her kids are now adults, moved on. She really wants to like focus on growing her, I think she has a cleaning business, but then somebody from her past comes back and I think it's maybe a romance there. I trust, like sometimes it feels a little weird, but I trust this author and it's a Christian fiction, so I know it'll be clean. So yeah, sounds good. Next is The Still Black Waters by Christina McDonald. So I have loved everything I've read by Christina McDonald. She is one of my favorite and I feel like most underhyped kind of family drama thrillery writers. And so this is about, it's the start of a new series. So this woman takes her daughter to like a lake house and then bodies start appearing in the water by her house. And so we get like her story and then the detective. I think that like they're both trying to figure it out potentially. And I think the series, will follow the detective. And I think both women have secrets. So what's going on? I don't really know. Next is October 2nd, The Nurse by Jenna Kernan. So this one I think is maybe set somewhere in the UK. So this maybe the reason the date's weird is because it's been released in a different country before and now it's coming to the USA. I don't really know. But this is about a woman who is asked to be a personal nurse for another woman who is struggling with like delusions and I think mostly mental health issues. But her husband asks her to be an in-home nurse. And so she is. And then when the husband's gone, this woman tells her that like, hey, I've done really terrible things and my husband's lying about all of this. And so is she actually delusional? I don't know what's going on. I don't know. This almost gives me like Frida McFadden vibes when I first discovered her. It was kind of like an unknown, kind of smaller indie author potentially. I don't know. So I'm hopeful that it'll be great. Next, on October 3rd, The Intern by Michel Campbell. So this is just a thriller about a woman, a lawyer, and her intern, and kind of a cat and mouse situation. I don't know who's good, who's bad. If there's a lot of moral grayness, I would guess, but I don't really know. Next is Maybe Once, Maybe Twice by Alison Greenberg. And this one sounds really intriguing. So this is about a woman who has made the pact of like, hey, if we're still single at 35, we'll get married or whatever. But she has made that pact twice. Once like in high school and then I think once later in life. And now she's 35 and both men show up. So I think that just sounds really intriguing. I don't know if it's all like one timeline as if she has to choose or if we get to see both paths. I'm not really sure, but sounds really interesting. Next is A Winter in New York by Josie Silver. So Josie Silver I loved One Day in December. I know not everybody did, but I really liked it. And I think I read another by her. I can't remember, but I like that alone is enough to make me want to read it. But this one is about a woman who moves to New York City and she discovers like a gelato shop in Little Italy that has the same like secret recipe that her and her mom used to make. And she doesn't know how the two are connected, but trying to figure it out is what this book's about, I think. So, sounds good. Next is Love in Wonderland by Abiola Bello. And the little blurb is, the sun is also a star, meets You've Got Mail in this YA Christmas love story set in a London Black-owned bookshop. So that feels like buzzword. So it sounds really good just based on that, but it's about two teens who work at a bookstore that is like in danger of being closed because of gentrification and stuff like that. And so they have to figure it out. The You've Got Mail trope is one of my all-time favorite ever, so I'm excited to see what that's about. Next is The Death of Us by Lori Rader-Day. And I'm really interested in this author. I need to do more research because I think one of my professors in college was Lori Rader. And is that a crazy coincidence? Did she write a book? I don't know. But this is about a woman that came to someone's house and this woman, I can't remember their names, Ashley or something. She came to this woman's door and said, "Here, take my baby. I can't take care of it," and then disappeared. And so the woman has now raised this child as her own, and we're not sure what happened to the biological mom the night she disappeared, but then her car is found, and I think we start to find out maybe what happened and more details. I don't really know. We don't know if it's sinister. We don't know if she just chose to disappear. And I think everybody has secrets. I don't really know, but we'll see. I love motherhood stories and knowing I think she is feeling threatened, her child will get taken away. And that is just, that's a desperation that is unlike any other in stories. Then Second Act by Danielle Steele. So you guys, I've been kind of craving old nostalgic reads, and Danielle Steele is one of those that my mother and grandmother read a lot, especially in the summer by the pool or whatever. I feel like they read it a lot. And so Danielle Steele, while I don't like the super cheesy romance, I feel she's got this nostalgia factor for me. So this is about a man, I think, who is the head of a movie studio, really successful, all the things, until the studio gets sold out from under him. So he goes from LA to the coast of England to kind of restart, get a break, and he meets a journalist, and together they stumble upon a story that would make a great screenplay. So can they turn it around? Can they do that? I don't know. Sounds really interesting. Next is The Christmas Cafe by Eliza Evans. And this is about a cafe worker in Wyoming. She lives with her dog and I think her grandpa or something. And the cafe just sold, or is just about to be sold. But there's also this holiday show coming to film in the town. And so she is trying to get them to film in the cafe to save the cafe. Sounds good. I think there's a romance with the lead star or something. Just sounds Christmassy and cute, you guys. I'm a sucker for these Christmas covers. Next is October 10th, The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella. So Sophie Kinsella is one of those also kind of auto-read authors for me. She does kind of chick lit, women's fiction, romance, all in one. It's a bundle. So this is about a woman who's super burnt out. And so she goes to this seaside resort or something, but it's off season, it's dilapidated, it's kind of run down. There's just one other grumpy guy there, and they're both super burnt out, and they both start getting messages on the beach, and they have to communicate about why are they burnt out, how they got there, all that kind of stuff. And burnout is a topic that I feel is so intriguing. And especially for me, I'm the type of person, I go big or I go home about everything I do, literally everything I do. And so burnout is something that I've experienced many, many times in my life. And it's interesting. I hope there's some discussion around burnout and how we get there, how to avoid it, what we do once we're there. Hopefully that'll be good. But regardless, I think it'll be cute. Next is on October 15th, A Christmas to Remember by Beverly Jenkins. So this isn't her Blessing series, which I've not read any of, and I don't know, but Beverly Jenkins is an OG romance author, and this is about a romance or Christmas wedding or something set in a small town in Kansas. And as a Kansan, I love reading stories set in Kansas, and so I'm going to read it. Sounds great. Next is October 17th, One Christmas Morning by Rachel Greenlaw. So this one is kind of a Charles Dickens, that kind of story, but it is about this woman who something tragic happened 3 years ago on Christmas. And so since then, she has tried to bury herself in work and just avoid Christmas, avoid celebration, all that kind of stuff. Her husband kind of makes her go to her best friend's Christmas party. And there at the Christmas party, her friend makes an announcement that really triggers her. And so she decides, you know what, I think the party's in Cornwall. She's like, I'm going back to London, getting on a bus, whatever. Midnight strikes, and she is visited by the ghost of her grandmother. And her grandmother says, hey, you got to face your demons. You're pushing people away, and this is not going to end well if you don't deal with your stuff. And so then the next morning, it's Christmas morning, and she wakes up in the body of her assistant. And then the next day, it's Christmas again, and she's in the body of somebody different. And so she's starting to see her life as well as just life in general through the perspective of all these people that she's kind of pushing away and all these people whose lives are impacted by her. And it's really intriguing. And I think that kind of perspective shift is something that is really interesting to me. Next is The 12 Dogs of Christmas by Susan Wiggs. And I don't know anything about this except that it's Susan Wiggs. I trust her. She does also women's fiction romance. And she was really fun. We interviewed her. I'll link that down below. But she was a really fun person, and learning about her writing process has me wanting to read like everything. And I think this book's going to be on Kindle Unlimited. So there's that. Next is American Girl by Wendy Walker. So this one is, Wendy Walker is a thriller author that I also really enjoy. And this is about a sandwich shop owner who is dead, like winds up dead. And so of course all of his employees become suspects. One of his employees is like a 17-year-old girl with autism who is trying to leave the town, whatever. And she gets embroiled in this, kind of tangled up in it. And so she has to like protect herself and figure out who all's doing what and like what's going on in this small town. Next is Friends Don't Fall in Love by Erin Hahn. And this is about a country music star. And I think life's just lifing on her. She's having a rough time. So she calls one person who's always been there, and it's like her childhood friend. And I think it's a friends to lovers romance. And I just love that trope. I know not everybody does, but like for me, there's instant buy-in. Like there's no such thing as insta love with friends to lovers because they're friends first. So like that connection is established. And I feel like I need that kind of connection to be well established in order to like buy into the romance. So there you go. Next, on October 24th, The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. You guys, I cannot wait to read this. Like, I am so intrigued by what Britney has to say about her life. And I was a tween in the time of like Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Christina Aguilera, all that kind of stuff. And I am just like so fascinated by her story. So fascinated. So I can't wait to see. Next is The Search for Us by Susan Azim Boyer. And this is about two half-siblings who do like some sort of DNA test, 23andMe or whatever. And they're trying to find their biological dad. However, they find each other and not their biological dad, but they decide to like take on an adventure to go find their biological dad. Now, this is a YA, but one of the categories in Goodreads, like it was a ways down the list, but was romance. So I really, even though they are like, they're blood siblings. So I hope there's no romance like between them, because that would be really weird. Even though they're strangers, like they're still blood siblings. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully this is just like a road trip adventure story of them trying to find their dad, and maybe romance is somewhere else in the book, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Next is October 26th, The Christmas Love Letters by Sue Moorcraft. And this is about a woman and her husband who get in a really big fight. And this was like 6 years ago. They got in a fight. He left. He never has been seen since. And a stranger shows up with a bunch of like love letters. And I don't know if they're from her husband or who they're from, but she starts getting these messages. And I think there's some sort of romance between her and this stranger, and a lot of things from the past coming up that we don't know about. So sounds interesting. And then next is October 31st. So on Halloween, which is crazy. Is that a Tuesday this month? I guess I didn't even look, because that'll be really inconvenient if it is. But anyway, People to Follow by Olivia Wardley. So this is one that I think will be a buzzword for some and a buzzkill for others. But this is about 10 teen influencers who go to like this island for a reality show, and then one of them ends up dead. I am fascinated by like influencer culture just because it's such a new thing, like relative to life, and just like growing up as a teen today versus me growing up as a teen, like just one generation removed, is so different that I'm so fascinated. But I also really anticipate this is going to be like whiny teens, first world problems, all that kind of stuff. So if that's an anti-buzzword for you, maybe don't pick up this one. And then the last one is The Predictable Heartbreaks of Imogen Finch by Jacqueline Firkins. So that is a mouthful, but this one sounds so intriguing. So her mom predicted that, well, this gal gets broken up with for like the 17th time. And her mom had predicted, like, you will never be anybody's first and you will never like achieve any firsts. You will just not have any firsts or be anything's first. And so she gets broken up with 17 times and always leaving for somebody else. So she's nobody's first wife. She's nobody's first love. They're always leaving her for somebody else. And so she has, like, I think her childhood crush comes back into town 10 years later, however many years later, and together they take on the challenge of getting her to be a first. And I think there's like cornhole tournaments, like some really fun stuff. And so hopefully this gives like super fall vibes, but even if it doesn't, it sounds super cute. So that is everything that's coming out in October. I feel like I just kind of ran through that super quick, but that's quite a hefty list. So let me know what is coming out in October that you're interested in. Which of these sounds the most interesting to you? And that is it. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.